Hey everybody, this is Ridgedog from the VoxelBox, here to show you another VoxelTüt. Toot being short for tutorial, and that's exactly what these are. Here we have our modular display. This is actually three separate modular displays, each of them in themselves being a cube. These share a wall. When you paste one of them in, it actually conjoins this wall with the other, and a redstone repeater will send the signal through when it's supposed to tick over to the next one aligned. So let me just load it up, and I'll paste another one right here. And so now they're both sharing that block. On their own they wouldn't be. They could count to 9 and then back to 0, but here, as you'll notice, it will actually send a signal to the next one. Our modular displays are unique in that these redstone torches in the corners are actually fitted with OR gates, so that instead of having a missing redstone torch there like you do with almost every other display, we actually have that there. Now every time a segment next to that display is, oh look, I broke it. Every time a segment next to that is on, it's actually going to make that torch turn on. Now in addition to the counting up, we also have a modular display that counts down, and if you wanted to have another one that counts up just next to it, you just simply paste it in, and you can have a modular display that counts upward on its own to 9 and then back down and whatever you want. What's nice about the count down displays is you can actually have several in a row, and set up a specific amount of time to pass. You can manually progress the ticker by pressing this button on the back of the display, and you can progress even the tens and the hundreds and the thousands, and then you can have it set to have like a 300-second counter operated by these tickers. Now I'm going to go briefly over what goes inside these tickers. It's more complicated than I could cover over the course of a few hours, so I'm just going to cut the top of these off real quick, and then we'll get a good look inside and kind of see what makes them tick. Inside each of these displays, it kind of look like a little engine. Quite simply, this is a sequencer which is governed by an AND gate and an RS NOR on each line, offset so that the redstone doesn't touch each other, and it sends a signal to the next one over. The sequencer is something I developed a really long time ago. Woodyman has actually used these in a lot of his displays. The sequencer is basically this. You have a bunch of torches on that side. You press the button, and the torches will progress. You press the button again, and the torches progress the next line over. What I did was I took a train station RS NOR switch that I had that was a parallel, ripped the RS NORs out of that and made it so that you could have something similar to this, but it runs in a parallel, one line thick. Then I added an OR gate onto the front of that, where if a power is coming from the back and power is coming from the front, it sends a signal up and it sends a signal down, but only if both of these are turned off, then it turns off. Now a signal is sent to the next line over via a torch in front of it, which whenever this OR gate is basically the way it operates is when this RS NOR on the end is on and a signal is sent, that AND gate will then send a signal to the next one to turn itself on. So it, in effect, when you press the button, it turns itself on and turns the next one, or turns itself off and turns the next one on. Now this one was obviously a diagonal, wouldn't work properly inside those small modular displays, so what we did was we ended up wiring a bunch of them together. Here we have another decoder, which we were thinking about using for a good deal of time, before finally deciding that it wouldn't, and we needed to develop a vertical decoder. Anyways, we went through several iterations of a vertical decoder where the torches went up and up and up, and different types of vertical decoders. Each and every one of them their own merit. However, we finally settled on one that basically operated by sending a signal back and forth, and then we simply took the outputs to the tickers on the front of the display. I'm sorry, to the torches on the front of the display, and we made the different delays on them so that they would make the display update at a similar time. So in effect, what you've got is a ticker, counter, sequence counter, a decoder, and then you've got the display. Well, you need something that's going to automatically advance the ticker. So what we've got is in the ticker itself is a clock that runs on a real-world 1 second tick. And that only happens when this over here is off. Normally this will be on. I'm sorry, when this is off, this will be on only for a brief period of time when receiving a signal from the other display. Every time it counts to 9 and then back to 0, the signal comes from the front of the machine, underneath here, up and around the back. Wow, this is really cramped. And then goes through a pulsar which sends a signal through the wall. Through every wall, whenever you've got a display that shares a wall with another one, you guessed it, on the other side is another ticker, is another counter. So it just basically operates via sending the signal through the wall. And this wall is on the right side and the left side of every modular display, so you can have it count to 9 without having any walls showing, as illustrated by this box here. So this one, let's just put it back on counting. Oops. And what you'll see there is it's basically going to count to 9 from 4. Looks like we're having a little bit of lag, but no biggie. Anyways, that's the VoxelTüt for today. Pasting those next to each other is key, standing on the iron blocks to do so. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to post schematics for the up and the down. On the back of these displays there is actually going to be some signs. Pressing this button to cycle the display up. If it ever breaks, turn the lever on, turn this lever back here off, and it fixes derp redstone. And then once you've done that, go ahead and hit this button to restart it to 0. Because of the delicate nature of the redstone inside these machines, they actually are fairly derp. If you have one running and then you do something nasty to it, it's actually going to fail pretty hard, which is not characteristic of a lot of the redstone that I do. However, sometimes you just got to go with something really elegant but delicate. So in this case, like I said, the OR gate's on the corner, and the ability to paste these next to each other and have them count infinitely is what really sets these modular displays apart. Once again, this is Ridgedog from the VoxelBox, bringing you another VoxelTüt. Go ahead and check the description for links to downloads of these schematics.